Truth and reconciliation. We acknowledge the town of Edson is located on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral lands of the Nikawak, Soto, Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and the Apitimisawak nations. We honor the knowledge of this land, the elders and youth which gather here, and our ancestors who have gathered here for centuries. Can I get a motion for the agenda, please? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the September 17th, 2024 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented? Go ahead, Councillor Moore.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried. No public hearings, no presentations and delegations, no bylaws, business items. And I will welcome up Vicky Bird, who is going to be reviewing the service level program review statutory holiday schedule.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to present the proposed statutory holiday schedule for the Edson District Leisure Centre for 2024-2025. Our goal is to ensure the schedule balances operational efficiency and community access while aligning with the Edson Strategic Plan, Town of Edson Strategic Plan. The proposed schedule includes 12 statutory holidays with adjustments to reflect community demand and cultural considerations. This approach supports community engagement and operational efficiency by modifying hours based on holiday nature and community needs. Most holidays will have the Leisure Centre open from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., ensuring staff availability and accessibility during key periods. On September 30th, the Leisure Centre was closed to observe the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, promoting inclusivity and cultural awareness. On Remembrance Day, the facility will operate from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., balancing respect for the day's significance with evening access for the community. We recommend closures on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and New Year's Day. On Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, the facility will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. December 27th will be designated as a staff floater day to support staff well-being during the busy holiday season. For days like Family Day and Canada Day, we'll explore aligning facility operations with broader community events to maximize the positive impact and enhance local traditions. We've paid special attention to National Day for Truth and Reconciliation and Remembrance Day. On these days, we aim to foster reflection, education, and community engagement, aligning with our social responsibility goals. This schedule aligns with the Town of Edson strategic plan by supporting community engagement. While holiday operations increase staffing costs and closures impact revenues, these can be managed through targeted programming and promotions. To increase engagement, we are adopting the committee's recommendation to offer free facility access on Family Day. Looking ahead, we will review the statutory holiday schedule by September 2025 to make data-driven adjustments based on community feedback and operational performance. This proposed schedule balances operational efficiency and cultural sensitivity, supporting our strategic goals. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bird, for the presentation this evening. Council, do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, through the mayor, Ms. Bird, thank you for your work on this. So you're bringing it back to council in September? Is that the plan, or just reviewing it as administration, and if you feel is there any changes, you'll bring them forward. Is that your plan?
It's here for approval tonight.
Approval, so, but in September of 2025.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We would be taking a look at how this past year has gone and the data that we've accumulated to make further decisions or any more adjustments that need to be made for the following year.
Okay, thank you. And just a follow-up. We look at this tonight. In terms of the future multiplex, we get into that. Would this then have to be taken into consideration in terms of our partners with the county, in terms of that future operation of how we want to set statutory dates or holidays at that time?
Go ahead, CO Beveridge.
Mr. Mayor, in the package, it does reflect the motion specifically as for 2024, 2025 for this, at this point in time, for setting this schedule. So that would be contemplated in a future discussion. Yes.
Thank you. Council, any further questions, comments, or concerns? Well, we did discuss this at committee here a little while ago, and you know, when you look back at our past history, we have been closed on many of these days, including on family days. So I'm happy to see that we're going to be open and incorporating free family activities for the community. So I do thank you for that, Ms. Bird. So if we have no further questions or comments, I will take a motion, please. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
I move that council approve the Edson and District Learning Center statutory holiday schedule for 2024-2025 as presented.
Leisure Center.
Sorry, Leisure Center.
Thank you.
Learning, sorry, my apologies.
All right, thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried, and I believe we have a second motion. Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I move that council approve the Edson and District Leisure Center to offer free access to the facility for the annual Family Day holiday.
All right, any questions, comments, or concerns? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
Just a comment through there. I am pleased that we're doing it for Family Day. It'll only be the one day, the Monday, not the entire weekend. Is that correct? Okay, so thank you for clarification.
Thank you, Council. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Bird, for your presentation. Next up, Fire Chief Bradley Milton on the Alberta First Responders Communication System request.
Thank you, Council. We're here today to present our request for the Alberta First Responders Communications System. The Alberta First Responders Radio Communication System, AFRAX, is a two-way radio network for responders in municipal, provincial, and First Nation agencies across the province. AFRAX has become operational in 2016 of July. The system was designed to allow for agencies to share talk groups, allowing for interagency communication in a fashion previously unheard of. With AFRAX agencies, it allows for fully coordinated joint response to emergency scenes, improve and integrate radio communication amongst first responders and different agencies, such as police, fire, STARS, and our AHS partners. It uses a robust, resilient, public safety grade radio technology in today's day-to-day operations. Why AFRAX? In 2023, Edson's after-action review conducted by TSI, Transitional Solutions, provided 2 recommendations regarding the use of AFRAX radios. During our flood response, response area 4 communications was a recommendation to upgrade our radios to the AFRAX system. During Wildfire 1, response area 4 communications, again, area for improvement number 5 was to consider joining the AFRAX program and purchasing sufficient radios, not only for the fire service, but also for our ECC or Emergency Command Center. Deficiencies have been identified with the current radio systems and communication equipment in both after-action reviews, as well as internally in town operations. Large emergency scenes are not capable of being able to be controlled through the existing radio systems without difficulties and without the use of multiple radio systems or various other communication means. The current radio system, while working, is not ideal for circumstances that use different communication modes, such as standard practice in today's operations. Why now? The current equipment that we have is reaching the end of life. The time now is to replace the equipment that we have. The reason for this is with the upgrades to our equipment and future purchases and recommendations of the AFRAC system, it would be of interest to focus on the AFRAC system now. Upgrades for AFRACs instead of replacing our current radios is the best practice, allowing for interoperability and intercommunication amongst other municipal partners. We're able to mitigate the communication gaps that's recently been seen in our deployments, such as High Level and even in Jasper. During our time in Jasper, radios were limited, and the available caches at these scenes are only for one radio per truck, limiting communications amongst the crews locally. Currently, we've received $55,000 in external funding to implement the AFRAC system and AFRAC's radios. As an administration, we are working with corporate donors, and an announcement will be made to the and communicated publicly later in the fall. Our recommendation is that Council approve $120,000 of additional funding for the 2024 capital budget to implement the Alberta First Responders Communication System for the purchase of our radios for protective services and emergency management, funded through the Protective Services Capital Reserve. Some of the alternatives that we would have are to continue using the existing equipment, replacing the equipment as needed, and deferring the transition to the AFRACs to a later date. We can also phase in AFRACs. By addressing this, we can phase in certain aspects such as fire department first, then move to our community police officers, and then into a full integration of our trucks and the ECC. Thank you.
Thank you, Fire Chief Milton. Questions, comments, or concerns? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
Through the mayor to the fire chief. You mentioned the funding. Do we have funding in there right now? Like you said, so we have money in the bank right now?
Correct.
Okay. I do see the importance of them, and yes, it is 120,000. But I would be in favor of doing it all at once, because the last thing we'd want, if we have some form of emergency, we can't get a certain individual. So I do like the idea. If we have the funding, we'll have to spend it now or next year. But either way, and our radios need them. So I like the idea if we have the funding.
Thank you.
Councillor Moore.
Through the chair to the fire chief. What are the chances of members of the public eavesdropping into this system?
Through the mayor to Councillor Moore, these systems are designed through through like a VPN system. So they are encrypted and they're not able to be scanned. Every time you click the radio, it picks a new channel to work off of, essentially. So scanners have troubles picking them up. So it would protect the privacy of our residents as well.
Go ahead, Councillor Bevan.
Through the chair to Brad Milton. Will the radios that you have on your personnel body be integrated into your truck so you can talk your truck to the people? And also how often do you have to do upgrades on these, or will they last for a while?
Thank you, through the mayor to Councillor Bevan. For your question, these radios have a general lifespan of all other radios of between 10 and 15 years. These radios, by doing this whole process, it'll allow for intercommunication between all of our trucks. If we were to phase it, we would go with portables and pagers first. Trucks would be later, so then we would have difficulties in communication potentially between trucks. So it's based off the portables. So this plan is the implementation of our pagers, our portables, our mobiles in the trucks, as well as the portables for our ECC and our CPOs.
Thank you, Councillor Pasichny.
Yeah, through the mayor to council. if we're doing this, we should stick with the do it all at once. And to give you an example, when we had our fires and other communities came to our town to help us, they came with AFRACs, and we couldn't communicate with them. So we had to get a handheld for each truck. So if you just do handhelds, then you have your trucks don't have radios. You just need that many more handhelds. So I think this is a long time coming, and I think it's a really good thing for our fire department.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Chachka.
Thanks. So through the mayor to Chief Milton and council. I agree with everything that's been said. This is something that has come up numerous times and the complications because of it. And also just want to thank Chief Milton for all the work you've been doing with the staff and tackling all the items on that report, the after action report that we had. So that's very appreciated. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions? So through to Chief Milton, I believe here for the Protective Emergency Services, Enforcement Services, sorry, you're only looking for 2 radios. Is there a reason why we have 2 peace officers plus we have an enforcement services manager? So is there a requirement for 3 or is 2 sufficient?
That is correct. I believe that was a typo. That was meant to be 3, and that still is calculated within the budget.
Okay, thank you very much. I agree. I was actually quite surprised to learn that we weren't on AFRACs already. I guess my other question is, so we're tied in with Yellowhead County. Is Yellow County, did I read in the briefing note they're already on AFRACs or not?
Correct, Mr. Mayor. They do have AFRAC's accessibility right now, and they have the current radio system as well. So it would be an easy transition for us to their dispatching system.
All right, perfect. So I'm in full support as well, and with that, I'll take a motion from the floor. Go ahead, Councillor Pasechny.
Yeah, I'd move that council approve the $120,000 additional funding in the 2024 capital budget to implement the Alberta First Responders Communication System for Protective Services and Emergency Management to be funded from the Protective Services Capital Reserve.
All right, thank you. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you, Chief Milton.
Thank you.
Moving on, our next update is from Eric Christensen, Enforcement Services Manager, regarding the automated traffic enforcement policy.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to bring back the Automated Traffic Enforcement Policy PS5. As you know, or as you're aware, we brought this forward back on September 10th to the Committee of the Whole, and we talked about the project, which was ATE was brought into the town of Edson in 2006. It's a tool that we use to reduce the high levels of speeding within the community. There's a high amount of traffic and pedestrian along Highway 16 corridor, requiring a strong effort that places a high demand on our enforcement team, which is comprised of RCMP and community peace officers. This is a tool that we use to assist with this challenge when motorists fail to comply with the posted speed limits and don't slow down, and they're identifying with the AT type signage. This is one of the methods that we use to enforce the speeding violations. When we brought it in front of Council for the Committee of Whole on September 10th, that there is some proposed amendments that possibly may be coming in December 1st, 2024. However, regardless of those, we do need to bring back this policy to utilize ATE within the town of Edson. And at that time, the committee was generally supportive of this policy. I have had it reviewed by the Alberta government ATE program, and they say it meets their requirements in theory. Just waiting for a signature from and be approved by council. So This is audited every 2 years, and we fell a little bit short without having this policy back in October of 2023. And we have drafted this policy, and it's here for review and approval. And once it's approved, we will submit it to the Alberta Public Safety and Emergency Services. And with that, I will answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this policy? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion, please. Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion. Council approves the automated traffic enforcement policy PS5 as presented.
Thank you, and we will open the floor to debate. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
Thank you. Through the mayor to council. So I am in supportive of this policy, and not only just this policy, but in favor of our automated traffic enforcement program that we have in our community. I would be interested in a follow-up motion to write a letter to the government to advocate for the continuancy through our community, as it has been very successful as a tool to slow down traffic. So I'm not sure the best process to do that.
No, we'll just ask for a motion following this one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that motion is carried unanimously. And Councillor Chachka, would you like to make another motion?
Yes, I move that council ask administration to form a letter to the Alberta government to show our support for the automated traffic enforcement program through the town of Edson on our highway corridor.
And Amanda will get that up on the screen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just need one moment to finish drafting here. Okay.
All right, so the motion up on the screen is that Council Direct Administration submit a letter to the Alberta government to show our support for the automated traffic enforcement program in the town of Edson. Does that suffice for you, Councillor Chachka?
Through the mayor, I think so. I would ask administration if that has enough clarity with regards to the highway corridor, or if we should specifically say the highway corridor, because that is under review in other major highways in Alberta.
CO Beveridge.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, through to Councillor Chachka. So specifically with the highway corridor and the safety concerns that we've recognized and already brought forward to the province, I think that, you know, having that within this motion will be helpful. Okay. So I don't know if it's support, you know, and I'm not trying to reshape your motion. However, I would say that suggest potentially submit a letter to the Alberta government to demonstrate the safety concerns with regards to the highway corridor and the importance of the automated traffic, the continuance of the automated traffic enforcement program.
Okay, that's
just off the.
Thank you. No, that and that is the intent, is regarding the safety. So I guess support is too broad and open to interpretation. So safety concerns is the reason. So, and I'd be willing to discuss that with council after the motions.
So the motion as it reads right now is that council direct administration to submit a letter to the Alberta government to demonstrate the safety concerns with regards to the highway corridor and the continuation of the automated traffic enforcement program in the town of Edson.
That works for me. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor, council. Let's open up for debate. Councilor Chachka, would you like to speak to that motion?
Sure. So currently, the government has been, removing some of the tools that have been used along our major provincial highways. And since we are on a major provincial highway, I felt that it was maybe necessary that we show our support for the continuance of this program. And as other communities have had it removed without their without any mention or discussion. And the reason is the safety concerns. Much prior to the automated traffic program being implemented, it was not uncommon to see regular traffic, traveling at 70 kilometers an hour through town. I do recall one death for sure, but I think there were a couple since I moved to town and before this was implemented. And this has slowed down our traffic through town. It has worked. There's still the occasional person that's going a little too quick, but it has slowed the bulk of the traffic down, which has increased the safety for our residents and has also allowed people to cross the highway to our economic area on, Second and Third and Fourth Ave as well. So I felt that I think we should show some support for the use of this tool within our traffic enforcement program.
Thank you, Councilor Chachka. Councilor Taylor.
Yeah, through the mayor to council administration, the gallery, anybody watching at home, I'm supportive of the motion as well. I spoke about this the last time we spoke. Automated traffic enforcement is not an immediate a change in driving. What it does is when you get that ticket in the mail, it makes you rethink how you're driving in that corridor once again. And I think it's important that we do, with regards to the motion, highlight those safety concerns in our town. If we did see the ATE removed, what we would end up seeing, and this would be sad, is we'd see more of our enforcement services, more of our policing, basically into that area and policing speeding instead of out there catching bad guys is what we want, or dealing with other issues in town. So we're diverting that, and I would hate to see that. We have such great stats with regards to the RCMP that we can produce. I think one of those reasons is because we have this ATE program instead of police having to deal with speeders on 2nd and 4th Ave. So supportive of the motion, and hopefully we'll be able to keep the ATE in Edson.
All right, thank you, Councilor Taylor. Council, is there any further questions, comments, concerns on this motion? So this was spoken about at Alberta Munis this past week. The minister was very non-committal one way or the other. They talked about traffic calming measures, which certainly are required on provincial highways. And, we are a bit unique in Edson as we don't have service roads. So we have a lot of traffic that's turning off into parking lots, things like that, coming into the highway off of parking lots, or other places where they have more controlled intersections along the highway. 95% of the revenue generated through ATE last year was for out-of-town residents is offsetting the cost of our policing. We lose ATE, we lose that revenue. Well, we have to make a decision on whether or not we want to continue to staff the RCMP, which at the levels we have been, which has been increasing dramatically, or if we want to increase taxes to offset that. So now we're talking about service level changes within our policing budget. And those are difficult decisions. I don't want to see less police. I want to see more police on the street. We have a lot of issues to deal with. Furthermore, the province is the one actually taking the lion's share of the money. They're taking 40%. And they've actually increased that over the years. And then like to blame the municipality for quote unquote cash cows. So no doubt it has slowed traffic down. It's just a question to our enforcement services manager. How long has ATE existed within the town of Edson?
Since 2006, Mr. Mayor.
So it's been in Edson since 2006. The locations have not really changed over that time, and yet locals still get photo radar tickets. It hasn't changed. And once again, yeah, we have moments of judgment where we're going too fast. I've got them myself. So I think the benefits far outweigh the negatives when it comes to photo enforcement, and I'm in support of your motion. Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor, thank you so much for bringing up the cost, the revenue. I think in 2023, the revenue generated was somewhere around about 300,000. And that was diverted towards our policing. And if we didn't have that 300,000, that's about a 2-point-something% tax increase to offset that cost, right? So that's something to consider. And another unique stat, and I think I said this a few weeks ago, I'll say it again. Since taking away photo radar on the Anthony Henday in Edmonton, in 2023, there were 13 accidents causing fatalities. Since taking it away in 2024, there has been 11 accidents causing fatalities, in the area. So it shows that people without any net there, without any consequences to their actions, they're going to speed, they're going to cause accidents, they're going to cause injuries. So, thank you.
Councillor Chouinard.
Just a comment, I'm also very in favor of it. We're getting safety at no extra cost. I mean, it's giving us money, so it does slow traffic down. I have to agree with the comments. Without it, we would need some kind of enforcement because people entering town is where the highest speeds are coming in. So I'm fully in favor of it.
All right, thank you. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none,
Sorry,
all
Mr. Mayor,
Oh.
if I may, I would just wonder if I could add in a couple words here to add and support of the continuance for these. So we pass that we're supporting the continuance of the use of it.
Councillor
If that's
Truska,
okay.
you okay with that?
Yeah, through the mayor to Amanda, yes, I approve of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the motion is the council direct administration to submit a letter to the Alberta government to demonstrate the safety concerns with regards to the highway corridor and support for the continuance of the automated traffic enforcement program in the town of Edson. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Christensen. All right, next up we have... Oh, I'm in the wrong one here. Hang on. Denise McDonald, Senior Financial Advisor, presenting on the 2025 franchise fees. Welcome, Mrs. McDonald.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. I am here tonight to present the 2025 franchise fee, the opportunity for Council to visit the rates for 2025. Municipal franchise fees reflect exclusive right to provide utility services within the town of Edson. It allows utility companies access to town lands to construct, maintain, and operate their assets. We have 3 franchise companies within the town of Edson: Fortis Alberta for electricity, ATCO Gas and Pipelines for gas, and Yellowhead Gas Cooperative Limited for gas. In order to bring equality between the gas franchise customers, it's recommended to repeal the franchise fee policy to allow the rate to be the same throughout town regardless of the franchise provider. Franchise fees are used to spread the tax burden as it provides a revenue stream that accesses properties that otherwise are exempt from property taxes, such as schools, healthcare facilities, places of worship, nonprofit organizations, and the federal and provincial governments. It is unsure the intent of the policy or the calculation. However, it's an opportunity to either clarify the policy to meet Council's wishes or to remove it, as Council will always be provided the opportunity to review the rates as per legislation. That being said, if the intent was to calculate the CPI on the estimated revenues provided by the utility provider It does not allow the municipalities to take advantage of growth or increased consumption. I recommend that annually administration propose whether the rate change is necessary and support it based on budgetary requirements for the subsequent year and benchmarking against other municipalities. The opportunity to increase revenues more equitably are nearly the franchise fees, charging franchise fees to all properties allow us to more equitably charge across all organizations that use utilities versus organizations and residents that pay just property taxes. In your package, there's the last attachment indicates calculation that shows Fortis Alberta is at 4.70. Option 1 is to increase it to 4.70, which would allow the municipality to increase our revenues by $100,299. If it was to utilize the 2.7 CPI, we would not be allowed to increase that rate to that. And I think the calculation to 5.7 is a monthly impact of 30 cents on the resident. We're not recommending a change to ATCO Gas and Pipeline, as we are encouraging council to consider Yellowhead Gas being at the same rate at 22.54%, which will add $38,941 to the revenue to the budget, and has a monthly impact of $11.67 to a resident. That being said, we also have included the rate riders for Fortis Alberta that shows, I had calculations in here. There's approximately 160 some municipalities listed with Fortis Alberta. The municipality of Edson is within the 25%. And if we were to increase it to 5.7%, it would move us into 30%. So 70% of the municipalities listed here are higher than our rate listed there. So even though I have put forward a recommendation to hold ATCO, Fortis Electricity at the current rate, I would recommend that after looking at the budget for 2025, there's an opportunity to bring in additional revenue to the bottom line, and I would encourage council to consider it, but recognize it's ultimately your responsibility to make that decision. So there's 4 recommendations in there. First of all, to repeal the policy in order to allow the 2 gas franchise to be the same. And we've also included there the ATCO gas stay the same, as well as we put forward a recommendation but are now considering an alternative to increase it from 4.7 to 5.7. Thank you, Council and Mayor, and open for questions.
All right, so just questions for Denise before we debate the specific motions moving forward. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
Thank you, through the mayor, to Ms. McDonald. Thanks for bringing this forward. It's always an interesting policy to discuss when these come forward. So my question is, I'm not really sure why you want us to repeal the franchise fee policy. So I know you've made a few comments about it, that it's, you don't quite understand the intent of it. And that perhaps administration has some recommendations that are alternative of what the policy has suggested or is providing.
CPI, as well as the calculation that I have seen used in the past looks at the estimated revenue from the franchise company and determines that it can't be higher than the CPI. So first of all, Yellowhead Gas is sitting at 5.26 and ATCO Gas is sitting at 22.54. So depending on what side of the street you live on, you would pay a different franchise fee to the municipality. There needs to be equity in that. And so CPI is 3%. The difference between increasing from 5.6 to 22.54 is much higher than that. So we're suggesting to repeal the policy so we can, A, better word it so that it's clear for administration to administer in the future and easier to understand the calculations that need to be. But at the same time, annually council has to be provided the opportunity to look at these rates every year. So it could be on the floor for council to consider that on an annual basis.
CO Beveridge, you have a supplement?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In addition, in the research completed, we are the only municipality that we are aware of that has a policy in place for franchise fees as well. Because we are guided by legislation and not required to, essentially, this was brought forward in 2018, I think originally from the information that I have, and understanding we don't have the full intent of why it was put in place, maybe to provide standards so it wasn't much of a discussion, because as you note, throughout the province, it's very different. You can see the fluctuation between different municipalities. One of the other aspects, I think, just looking at, when we speak about where this touches, it's not a residential, it's the individuals that are not paying taxes as well. So this also touches on our our grants in place of taxes, properties that are not paying taxes, that we don't access that are also, that would be supplementing this as well and have that opportunity. Just wanted to provide that clarity with regards to the policy.
All right, thank you. And I just, to CO Beverage's point, I think the policy was brought in place, so it would be revenue neutral to the town. So it wasn't seen as a hidden tax where we're trying to get additional funds without increasing, it's kind of hidden in people's utility bills. So I think that was the intent of that policy at the time. Councillor Chenard.
Mr. Mayor, I want to ask a question, Yellowhead Gas, so I can ask that question before we make the motion. Just one clarification. Okay, through the mayor to Denise McDonald, sorry, I didn't catch your last name. Yellowhead Gas, I understand the reasoning behind it. Are we going to give Yellowhead Gas adequate time to make their customers aware? Because you said it's average about $11 a month, depending on how much gas consumption. So this will come into effect January 1 then, if this passes. So my biggest concern is so they have a chance to notify the customer that your bill will be going up. So they don't wake up January and all of a sudden, oh my God, what did you do to me? So that was my only concern. I agree that it should be equal, but proper notification if they're going to get it.
So through the mayor to the councillor, the process for changing franchise fees is to, once council has given direction, we are required to advertise it for 2 consecutive weeks, and then the rate change is sent to the Alberta Utilities Commission to approve the rate, and then the franchise companies then pass it on to their customers. So it is advertised in the local paper 2 consecutive weeks.
Councillor Pisecny.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Franchise fees are a frustration for me. You're essentially, they were developed, for those who don't know, they were developed because they don't pay taxes to offset what they should be paying in taxes. And then the utility companies one-ended the municipalities and put it on their bill. So essentially they're charging people to use their land. It is a crapshoot and there's no other way around it. I just had to get my rant off, so I apologize. But my question actually through to Ms. McDonald is, do you know the history and why? I always know when we've had 2 franchise agreements for gas, but but I never knew we had that big of a gap in the franchise fees. Do you know the history of why there's such a large gap? Or do we have any documentations of why Yellow Gas Co-op franchise fee is not matching that of ATCO's, or was it like something that was missed at some point? Or I'd like to kind of know the history on it, because I'm trying to go through my memory bank, and for some reason I thought there was a reason there may be, but I can't remember it. So
Through the mayor to Councillor Prisichny. Sorry. I do not know the full history. However, it has been a considerable time since it has been changed, so perhaps it was set aside and not brought forward. When I did a considerable amount of work to ensure that the process was accurate, because it's a county of Yellowhead cooperative that's handling it, which is different than, say, ATCO Gas. And so I wanted to make sure that we were using the proper authority by AUC, and there aren't a lot of co-ops like that within the province. There's a large base of, however, they're not as familiar with it. So when I talked to AUC, they said that, yes, we have to follow the same process. They didn't have it on their records as to our agreement even. So it's perhaps something that has been set aside for a number of years, and had it been with AUC, perhaps we would have received notification that on an annual basis we need to review these rates. But I think because it wasn't with them, that notification didn't happen. So going forward, it will be there with them now, and we will be updating the agreement with AUC. That has already been done. It's come to council a while ago, and now has been advertised, and an application is going forward for current rates. But I think that now the process is a little more clear for the Yellowhead Gas as well as administration for that franchise, and I think it will not be missed anymore.
Seal Beveridge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to council, when this was discovered last year with regards to this agreement, there wasn't, unfortunately, the records do not really explain much other than the fact that the agreement had expired in 2016. I unfortunately am not able to provide you any details as far as why, we were receiving the funds, and that's likely why it never came back. It was not something that was, from the information that we've reviewed, there hasn't been anything that has articulated the reason why that rate was left.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, through the mayor to administration, I was going to say this a few weeks ago with regards to when it was brought to us, but nice catch in terms of catching this after somewhere around 30 years of it not increasing, right? I was a little worried that the big jump was going to be an incredible amount of money. $11 we heard tonight is an okay and thing that we can sell. So supportive of the motions upcoming. And again, thank you to administration for catching this and bringing the municipality just a little bit more income that we perhaps should have had in the past. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for Ms. McDonald? Seeing none, I will take a motion from the floor. Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
You're looking for the first one to repel, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make the motion. Council repel franchise fee revenue policy FB2.
All right, so the motion on the floor is that council repeal franchise fee revenue policy FB2. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried. I'll take a second motion, please. Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I move that council maintain the 2025 Fortis Alberta's franchise fee rate at the current rate of 4.7% for electricity.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none? All those in... that's not the motion on the floor. That is not the motion on the floor. So
sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I may just pop on for one moment. I know that initially we had put forward the motion to keep the Fortis franchise fee the same. Denise had presented in her presentation that they were considering and asking to recommend increasing to the 5.7%. I just want to be clear if we're going to move forward with keeping it the same, or if we're going to move forward with increasing to 5.7%.
We have a motion on the floor to maintain by Councillor Taylor.
Okay.
That is correct. So that's the motion on the floor. Now we'll open up debate. Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
Thank you, through the mayor, to Councillor Taylor. I would ask for a friendly amendment on your motion to the one that is suggested to 5.7%.
No. So let's debate this. Let's debate this. If you don't want the 4.7, then we defeat it and we put a new motion on the floor.
Okay.
All right. Anybody? Questions, comments, or concerns? Go ahead, Councillor Pasichny.
Yeah, through the mayor to council, I support the remaining the same. People are getting hit hard enough with utility bills. I'm not for increasing it.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? So the motion on the floor is that council maintain the 2025 Fortis Alberta franchise fee rate at the current rate of 4.7 for electricity. If there's no other further questions, comments, or concerns, I will call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? That motion is carried. Can I get a third motion, please? Go ahead, Councillor Bevan.
I move that council maintain the 2025 ATCO gas franchise fee rate at the current rate of 22.55% for gas.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. And can I get a fourth motion, please? Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
That I move that council increase the 2025 Yellowhead Gas Co-op Limited franchise fee rate from the current 5.26% to 22.54% for gas.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, Mrs. McDonald. All right, moving on. Go ahead, Miss Beveridge, Chief Administrative Officer for the town of Edson. Geez, couldn't remember your title there for a second. Presenting on the Edson Community Care Foundation Subcommittee Delegation Response.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My presentation this evening will be brief, just to provide with an overview of the Edson Community Care Foundation Subcommittee Delegation Response. Just a little bit of background on this item. July 16th at the regular council meeting, Ms. Marcia Jensen, President of the Community Care Foundation, presented the newly formed Physician Attraction, Retention, and Recruitment Subcommittee as a delegation. The request within the presentation included requests for startup funding for $10,000, as well as a town a representation on the subcommittee. The current support that the town of Edson does offer to the physicians and medical personnel in our community is the medical center. We've had a medical center lease for many years and have reduced that lease in 2024. Additionally, there is housing available for the accommodations that we do offer through Town of Edson and Yellowhead County to provide those temporary accommodations for our medical professionals to transition into our community. The outstanding information requests post-committee meeting was the meeting schedule, as well as what is the startup funding going to be used for. And with that, the information that we have with regards to the startup funding was essentially for, the the opportunity to create, much of what they're already doing, but also to allow for supplemental, investment into the attraction and retention. Some of the things that are offered are the gift baskets to new doctors, funding for temporary rental accommodations for the locums, offering appreciation gifts to healthcare professionals. There also are also additional efforts that they make with regards to the annual healthcare barbecue, but they're aimed to also host some additional appreciation events to ensure that our dedicated professionals feel valued in our community as well. I do also have some further information. This was post, preparation for this meeting, was essentially that a business plan will be created with regards to and presented to Yellowhead County as well as the town of Edson, just to clarify as far as what the intent is for this committee as well. Additionally, the other request, as noted, was to have a representative from the town to sit on this committee. It was discussed at committee that it was a council member that was preferred, and I'm recommending through this is that to appoint a council member at the organizational meeting coming up through in October to sit on this committee. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. Wow. Any questions for Ms. Beveridge? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
Okay, so we can comment on the 10,000, correct?
Do you have a question?
Yes, I was just wondering, is it going to stay 10,000 this year? Are we going to do 10,000 carrying on to the years, or just a one-time request and review it later? That's my question.
I believe this was covered in the package, but it's a one-time request for $10,000. It's a one-time request for $10,000, as explained in the package. Council, any other further questions, comments, or concerns? If not, we will take a motion from the floor, please. Go ahead, Councillor Bevan.
Motion that council approve the 10,000 funding request for the Edson Community Care Foundation Subcommittee to support startup costs funded from the Public Health Operating Reserve.
Thank you, Councillor Bevan. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Go ahead, Councillor Chachka.
Thanks. Through the mayor to council and administration. At council's last committee meeting, there was a request for me to attend the meeting last week, and I did. As requested, and CO Beveridge did comment on that $10,000 funding request, and I know there's been some concern about it, them asking for $10,000 this year and $15,000 next year, and like a very increase in financial consideration for this committee, and in fact that's actually not what that's for. They don't have that desire. And as CEO Beveridge said, there is a business plan coming forward to kind of provide a little bit more information. There are some marketing opportunities that has been brought forward to the foundation as well, and that's something they would like to pursue when this committee gets kind of up and going. And there's a cost to that. There's a cost to those marketing efforts to recruit physicians from other locations. So that's just my comment on the funding request.
All right, thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, through the mayor to council and anybody else, I guess. I am supportive of this motion. I've given this a lot of thought over the last few weeks. And when we went to the budget engagement session a few weeks ago, one of the top things that came up at that session was healthcare, the thing we don't do. But there's lots of things within that we sort of move out of our lane and do. As I think the homelessness task force that I sit on is not something that municipalities generally sort of take on, but we do, and because there's a need in town, right? This benefits all of our residents to do it. And if we're not marketing ourselves and spending money to market ourselves in Edson, then where are doctors going to go? They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to Hinton. They're going to go to Whitecourt. Worse yet, they're going to go to Calgary. All right. So with that, we spend this money to market our community and to showcase why doctors should move here. And I know Councillor Chachka did tour a doctor around our community a few weeks ago, who was very impressed by what she saw. Well, this is the kind of work that maybe we can do with this kind of funding. Showing them the renovated library, the upcoming multiplex, the fantastic schools we have, and use that to market and bring individuals here at the same time as retain the ones we do have. And not only just bring doctors, but bring quality doctors. Just because we bring a doctor doesn't mean a warm body in the hospital is any good. What we were looking for is quality, and I think this is what this funding can be used for that. So I'm supportive of the motion here, and for the one-time cost. And listen, if it works well and it works, is very, very successful, this maybe can be looked at in future years. For right now, supportive of the motion on the floor.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. And can I get a second motion, please? Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion that council appoints member of council at organizational meeting scheduled October 15, 2020 to sit on the Edson Community Care Subcommittee.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Councillor Chachka.
Thanks. Through the chair to council and administration and those in the gallery. So when I attended the meeting last week from the Edson Community Care Foundation, we talked about this, about having a council member on and why they wanted one on. Councillor Positioney did mention at the committee that, if we're spending the public dollars, we should have council representative, and I agree, he's absolutely right. Something that they, I guess, kind of neglected or kind of forgot to say, or they just didn't really know how to say it when they were presenting to us, was that having a representative is desirable for them to create a diverse subcommittee. This committee chose to, with our, I guess, over the summer, we were asking them to create this physician recruitment subcommittee. And from their perspective, they've never done this. They've never recruited a physician. And they want to have as many diverse people on that committee as possible to make it fruitful. And having a member of council, they also, I believe, are asking the same of the Yellowhead County, and putting invites out to the manager of the medical clinic. And also, I think they're going to go so far as to invite all of the doctors that are currently practicing. They don't have to attend every meeting, but if there's something that they can come and provide input to how and show the best way to recruit physicians and to get that word out, then it takes an entire community to do this. It's not just one group's job. And having diverse members of our community and different perspectives to bring forward to make this successful is what they're desiring out of it. And that's where having a council member on that committee, it has value. So I just wanted to provide that additional information.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any further questions, comments, concerns? Go ahead, Councillor Bevan.
Through the chair, you also report put an alternate on there. And if the alternate is on there, can they attend a meeting just every now and then so they know what's going on, so they're not out of the loop if the regular person can't make it, they can know what's going on?
Absolutely, 100%. Any further comments or questions? So I just want to thank the Community Care Foundation for their work on this. It's great that we have folks that are interested and community members that are stepping up to support recruitment efforts in our community. And thank you, Councillor Chachka, for attending that meeting. I think it's vitally important that the town is at the table, gathering information, providing input where possible, and being involved in that process. And as Councillor Taylor spoke to in the previous motion, the overwhelming response during the budget consultation was healthcare. And so that, to me, says that this is important to our community, and as such, we need to be at the table. So with that, I will call the question. All those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And can I get a motion that council accept the information items for October 1st, 2024 as set out in attachment 1 as information? Go ahead, Councillor Moore.
I shall move.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That motion is carried unanimously. And now we will go to council committee reports, and today we will start with Councillor Chachka.
Okay, thank you. On September 24th, I attended a YCE multiplex meeting. Things are progressing as on plan. And September 25th, I attended a Community Care Foundation of Edson and District meeting. So I did already mention most of the items that were that would have been included in that report. And in case people don't realize what the Community Care Foundation of Edson and District provides to our community is they provide a bunch of other equipment. They fundraise and donate to the hospital pieces of equipment that medical professionals feel are desirable and will help with the assistance of recovery and helping patients, residents have better health. So something they approved at the meeting was an RJO walker. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it is to help with the mobility users in the hospital, as well as a special piece of equipment for the cataract clinic. Some people are still going to the city for specific procedures. This will be able to keep them in Edson. And they've got more things coming down the pipe as far as things that will come forward that they'll provide for the hospital in the future. They had a fashion show in the spring. They're looking for more people to help with organizing that and volunteering. So if you're interested, please contact Laurie Stang. That would be March 6th of 2025. And they also have a fundraiser on Thursday, October 3rd at RNK Fitness, a smoothie by donation day. So that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Councillor Chenard.
Okay, September 19th, the public engagement on Main Street. September 24th, Evergreens, we were proud to announce we started moving the seniors back to Jasper, and it was completed by the Friday. And then on September 24th to the 27th was in Red Deer, Alberta Muni. And then today, September 13th, I had a Zoom meeting, Evergreens meeting. And that's it for my report.
Thank you very much. And we will go to Councillor Bevan.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Councillor Bevan. And we will go to Councillor Pasichny.
September 23rd, along with the mayor, we had our youth council selection committee meeting. On the 24th, the YCE meeting, and the 25th to the 27th, Alberta Munis.
Thank you, Councillor Pasichny. Councillor Taylor.
On September 18th, I attended an Edson District Library Board meeting where we passed our budget and created the level of service for upcoming year, which will be the library will be back up to full running capacity soon, Monday to Friday, 10 to 8, and Saturday, 12 to 5. Our grand opening is coming up on October 18th at noon. Obviously, the library's been open for some time, but that day, of course, we'll do a grand opening, ribbon cutting, and speeches. Looking forward to that. We do a check presentation next week for a warehouser who has graciously contributed $10,000 towards our furnishings, to the furnishings of the library. And I believe the library will be coming to council next week to our committee of the whole meeting to do a presentation, not a delegation, a presentation there. On September 19th, I attended the budget engagement session. I had great conversations with lots of people. I heard healthcare tonight. We also spoke about homelessness, sewer, water, photo radar, doctors, the multiplex. And the biggest question is the multiplex happening? So I was able to, get people on board with that. Also heard that the budget engagement session night was perhaps the best budget engagement session we've ever had. That was what people were saying anyways. The location was fantastic. That's what people were saying. And whoever came up with that idea is just really a genius. That's what people said. That's
Okay, you got to speak about factual things, and I know that's not
what
factual.
people were saying at the engagement session. On September 24th, I had almost this task force meeting. We are searching for an executive director position, and we are close to that, hopefully. And September 25th to 27th, I was at Alberta Munis, and that is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Moore.
Thank you. Alberta Munis, always a great convention.
Just see.
Yeah.
The reports next week.
Yes? Okay, good. Well, next week, looking forward to it. Booster Juice, grand opening September 28th, ribbon cutting, and another ribbon cutting today for the Uptown Yoga, which is downtown. Anyway, there you go. Sort of.
That's it.
That's it?
Two of those things were not committee reports. All right. Budget engagement on the 19th. On the 23rd, met with the president of Northwestern University, formerly GPRC. Council, I think, would be interested to know that they're looking at expanding the trades program. They also have a nursing program, and so they were just came to provide awareness of that. So we'll be sharing more information on some of the post-secondary opportunities that are available in our region through Northwestern. They're trying to rebuild the relationship with us in Hinton, and certainly exciting to hear some of the things that they're doing with healthcare, considering our current situation. On the 23rd, I think Councillor Pasichny and I, along with Ms. Insko, had the hardest job on council trying to pick the youth councillors for the upcoming term. Just an amazing response in applicants, but we only have 12 positions available. So those youth councillors will be meeting for the first time next month, and it's great to see the level of the kids that are applying for the youth council and the interest in that program. On the 24th, we had a YCE meeting. I know that the community and council would like further communication in regards to YCE, and that is going to be forthcoming. We're just getting a couple things lined up, and they'll be working on a specific website that will allow for regular project updates. So a lot happening in the background, a lot of exciting stuff. Stay tuned. And then from the 25th to the 27th, Alberta Munis. And that is my report. We have no notice of motion. Can I get a motion, please, to go into closed session pursuant to Section 17 and 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act? Go ahead, Councillor Moore.
I so move.
Thank you. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. All right, thank you, everyone. Can I get a motion? Actually, I don't need a motion for adjournment, so this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.